obviously wanted Sandy in Indiana to replace Stephanie White because none of us can trust her or anybody in that entire front office. We wanted her here in Indiana, but ultimately the Indiana Fever decide to roll with Stephanie White. Sandy Brondello goes to Toronto, and she has some very, very interesting things to say about Caitlin Clark. We know the secret tunnel conversation they had.
Okay, this is wild. Sandy Brondello just became head coach of the Toronto Tempo, and she's already making moves that have Fever fans absolutely spiraling. Because when she talks about Caitlin Clark, listen to the words she chooses. Listen to how she pauses. This isn't just respect for a rival player. This is a coach who's already mentally building her roster. And Caitlin's name is at the very top. Here's what most people missed during that interview. Sandy didn't just compliment Caitlin's game. She broke down her strengths like someone who's been studying film for months, planning defensive schemes, imagining what plays she'd run. She needs a crowd around her. That's not analysis, that's roster construction. Sandy's already thinking about what pieces she'd need to maximize Caitlin's impact. And get this, Sandy was one of 3 coaches who had options this offseason. 3 legitimate opportunities. She chose Toronto. Brand new expansion team. 0 established culture. Complete blank slate. You know what that means? She gets to build exactly what she wants from the ground up. No inherited problems. No conflicting philosophies. Just pure vision.
And Clark is really hard to guard. You know, when she's healthy, just her ability. She gave us a lot of handful this year, and you know, she can shoot it from way out, but she's can pass it, and I think she's been a tough one. But yeah,
Caitlin Clark, you hear that? Look, tough to guard. She can shoot it from the parking lot. She throw no-look passes from the other state. She can do it all. She can do it all.
You know, she needs a crowd around her. I think Caitlin Clark is really hard to guard, you know, when she's healthy, just her ability.
Did you catch that? When she's healthy, Sandy's been watching every single game. She knows about the ear injury. She knows about the physical toll defenders put on Caitlin all season. She's not just casually familiar with the highlights. She's tracking Caitlin's health status like a coach who's invested in a player's long-term development. But here's the kicker. Sandy witnessed something firsthand that changed everything. There was this game where Caitlin hit 3 bombs in 28 seconds against the Liberty. Not just made shots, bombs from the parking lot. The kind of sequence that makes defensive coordinators throw their clipboards. And Sandy was on the opposing bench watching her entire game plan disintegrate in real time. You know what happens when a coach experiences that level of talent up close? When analytics say one thing, but the player just obliterates your strategy anyway. It creates obsession. It plants a seed. Sandy even admits it in the interview. Sometimes you gotta see where. She's talking about trusting what her eyes tell her over what the data suggests. That's a coach who's been converted, who's seen the light, who now understands that Caitlin Clark operates on a different plane.
Yeah, Sandy was a witness to Caitlin Clark hitting 3 threes in like 28 seconds, like bombs. You know what I'm saying? So Sandy know what time it is. She know what time it is.
She's just made 5, shots by what? No, let's change it. That's when I'm like, I always say analytics, it's great information. It gives you knowledge, but then sometimes you got to see where. Yeah, non-shooter. She can't shoot it and they make 3 in a row.
I'm human-driven and dead and informed. Write that down. That's not just coaching philosophy. That's a direct message. Sandy's telling everyone who'll listen that she builds around elite talent, not spreadsheets. She's setting the foundation for exactly the kind of culture that would make a player like Caitlin thrive. Now let's talk about that secret tunnel conversation, because this is where things get absolutely insane. During the playoffs, while Sandy was still with the Liberty, there was a documented meeting. Caitlin Clark, Sandy Brondello, Caitlin's agent, in the tunnel, away from cameras, away from media, just 3 people having a very private conversation. The timing matters here. This wasn't a casual good game exchange. This was during the playoffs, when coaches are laser focused on their own team, when every minute counts, when you don't waste time on social pleasantries. So why would Sandy Brondello, in the middle of a championship run, take time for an extended private conversation with a player from another team? You're probably thinking, maybe it was innocent, maybe just mutual respect. But hold up, Caitlin's agent was there. Agents don't show up for casual conversations. Agents appear when business is being discussed, when futures are being mapped out, when relationships are being built for strategic reason.
What will where do you feel like I'll have the most support and to build something special? And I think that's when it back to us like partnership. I felt I could have had a great partnership in all three, to be quite honest, and just that partnership. What's their vision, obviously for the team, the roles and the alignment that we have. I think that was really a big thing. But just people, and then city, and then what's the opportunity? What's the challenge that's ahead of me? So I think that all went into it, and it was hard, but I feel really happy with the decision I made.
Listen to how Sandy describes choosing Toronto. Partnership comes up 3 times in 30 seconds. She's not talking about X's and O's. She's talking about organizational alignment, about having a front office that supports her vision, about building something special with full autonomy. And here's what that actually means. Sandy learned from watching other coaches struggle. She saw what happened when great coaches got handcuffed by dysfunctional front offices, when management undermined their authority, when organizational chaos destroyed championship potential. She's not walking into that trap again. Toronto gave her something Dallas and other teams couldn't: complete control, a blank canvas, the resources of a major market, and most importantly, ownership that's desperate to make a splash, that will do whatever it takes to bring star power to Canada, that won't hesitate when Sandy says, "I need to make a move for a franchise player." Connect the dots here. First, the tunnel conversation happens. Then Sandy takes a job with an expansion team that has maximum flexibility, that will have cap space, that will have draft capital, that will have every incentive to swing for the fences. This isn't coincidence. This is strategy.
Anyway, so yeah, let's take a look at what some things Caitlin Clark had to say in regards to Lisa Bluder and stuff like that.
I'm Caitlin Clark, and we are here to talk about women that have inspired me to become myself. I feel like my mom has always kind of been my rock. The first person I called when I got hurt this year was my mom. I'm like, "Can you fly here and cook me a meal and just spend time with me?" And that is just the person that makes you feel.
The way Sandy talks about Asia Wilson versus Caitlin is fascinating. She respects Asia's game, sure, but when she describes Caitlin, her whole energy changes. She can shoot it from way out. There's almost awe in how she says it. Like she's still processing what she witnessed. Like she's already imagining what she could do with that weapon. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Coaches don't praise players from other teams this effusively, unless they're recruiting. When you're just being diplomatic, you give generic compliments. Great player, tough competitor, wish her well. But Sandy's giving detailed scouting reports, breaking down specific skills, acknowledging the challenges Caitlin creates. That's not diplomacy. That's admiration. That's desire. And meanwhile, what's happening in Indiana? Complete organizational dysfunction. Fever fans wanted Sandy. They begged for Sandy. They saw a coach who understood modern basketball, who had championship experience, who clearly respected Caitlin's game. Instead, they got Stephanie White and a front office that nobody trusts. You see the problem forming here. On one side, you've got Toronto with Sandy, building exactly the kind of environment a superstar would want. Full organizational support, modern coaching philosophy, a city that would absolutely lose its mind over Caitlin. And on the other side, you've got Indiana with question marks everywhere. Front office drama, coaching uncertainty, fans who feel betrayed.
I feel like my mom has always kind of been my rock. The first person I called when I got hurt this year was my mom. I'm like, "Can you fly here and cook me a meal and just spend time with me?" And that is just the person that makes you feel safe. And I probably took that for granted as a kid, but my mom always made the best meals. I think it's important to take time for yourself. And I think also when I do have free time, one of my escapes is cooking a healthy meal for myself, whether that's, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I really do enjoy that. Just putting on music and making a home cooked meal. And I think that's because it feels like a safe place for myself.
Now watch this part about Caitlin talking about Lisa Bluder, because this reveals everything about what Caitlin actually values in a coach, what she responds to, what makes her feel safe and supported.
Coach Bluder has had a great impact on my life. We've been able to stay in close contact over the course of my career now. Obviously, I've been away for 2 years and she has now since retired. But I think like one thing that was probably super impactful on myself and all of my teammates is we always had like a breast cancer game or a cancer game, and she would always bring in cancer survivors that got to kind of tell their story, but also like the impact our team had on people and how much joy we could bring to them, because those people were huge Iowa women's basketball fans, and them getting to spend a day with us like meant the world to them. So I think it put like great perspective, not only on, you know, basketball, but like what we get to do for other people.
Did you catch the emotion in her voice? Coach Bluder has had a great impact on my life. Caitlin doesn't just respect Lisa as a coach, she loves her as a mentor. As someone who shaped not just her game, but her entire perspective on what basketball can mean. And get this, the specific memory Caitlin shares isn't about winning games. It's about Lisa bringing in cancer survivors, about understanding that basketball creates joy for people beyond the court, about perspective and purpose, and using your platform for something bigger than yourself. That tells you exactly what kind of coaching Caitlin responds to. She doesn't need someone yelling about defensive rotations. She needs someone who sees the whole picture, who understands the human element, who builds culture around something deeper than wins and losses. Now here's where it gets crazy. Sandy Brondello's entire coaching philosophy is built around that exact same foundation. Human-driven and data-informed. She literally said those words. She's telling us she prioritizes people over systems, relationships over analytics, the exact coaching style that made Caitlin flourish at Iowa. You know what Caitlin doesn't have in Indiana right now? That same feeling of safety, that same sense of being understood. Fever fans are terrified that Stephanie White doesn't get it, that the front office is making decisions based on politics instead of basketball, that the organization is wasting Caitlin's prime years with dysfunction.
Clark, we wouldn't have to deal with none of this nonsense we see going on with this organization, us feeling like we can't trust Stephanie White. A lot of problems would not exist if Mama Bluder was there. And because she's not, we are just stuck. We're stuck in a tough situation where we have to try to deal with Amber Cox, Kelly Crosskoff, and Stephanie White. I think it's very, very sad, man. I wish we could get Mama Bluder to come out of retirement.
I really wish you wanted to still coach. Caitlin's not hiding her feelings here. She's openly saying she wishes Lisa Bluder was still in the game, because Lisa would understand how to build around her, would create the environment where Caitlin could be her authentic self, would protect her from the nonsense. But Lisa's retired. She's done. She's not coming back. So where does that leave Caitlin? Searching for someone who can replicate what Lisa provided, looking for a coach who gets it, who sees basketball as more than just plays and possessions, and who's out there right now, actively building a program from scratch, with a coaching philosophy that mirrors everything Caitlin values. Sandy Brondello, in Toronto, with unlimited resources and complete organizational support. The parallel is almost too perfect. Lisa Bluder built Iowa into a powerhouse by creating culture first, winning second. Sandy's now in position to do the exact same thing in Toronto. She's got ownership that will spend, a city hungry for relevance, and the coaching pedigree to attract star talent. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. Sandy's not just building any team. She's building the team, the one designed specifically to attract the biggest star in women's basketball. Every decision she makes over the next year will be calculated to create the perfect environment, the perfect culture, the perfect sales pitch.
Maya Moore was definitely my favorite basketball player growing up, male or female. You know, getting to meet her and watch her play in a game for the first time is probably one of the greatest memories of my childhood, truly. And when Maya Moore did come and watch me at Iowa, it was a surprise. She was sitting courtside, and just to have somebody you grew up wanting to be like, take time out of their day to come and support you. And she was inducted to the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and like the way she talked about like team culture and how much that meant to her, and being a team player and how impactful that can be on your life is so true. And being on teams that have been really good, like, you know.
Watch how Caitlin talks about Maya Moore. This is critical, because it shows us exactly what Caitlin values in basketball legacy. It's not just about individual stats or championships. It's about team culture, about being a team player, about impact that extends beyond the court. The way she talked about team culture and how much that meant to her, Caitlin's telling us what she wants her own legacy to be. She wants to be remembered like Maya, as someone who elevated everyone around her, who made teammates better, who built something special through collective success. But here's the brutal truth. You can't build that kind of legacy in a dysfunctional organization. You can't create transformative team culture when the front office is working against you, when management decisions undermine chemistry, when organizational chaos prevents sustained success. Indiana right now is giving Caitlin individual accolades, but organizational dysfunction. She's getting Rookie of the Year awards while watching her front office make questionable decisions. She's breaking records while feeling unsupported by the system around her. Toronto represents the opposite, a chance to build from scratch, to establish culture from day one, to be part of something historic, bringing a championship to Canada, to work with a coach who's already proven she can develop superstars and win titles. And Sandy knows this. She's seen how the WNBA works, how quickly situations can sour, how important it is to strike when a player is frustrated with their current situation. The tunnel conversation wasn't random. It was strategic. It was planting seeds for exactly this moment.
Kind of like disrespect the WNBA and go about it in a certain type of way. I think that's why it's so hard for Caitlin Clark, because she actually grew up a fan of women's basketball players. There's a lot of players in the WNBA who didn't watch WNBA. They watched NBA, and they openly say it. So she has a deeper passion for the actual league because it was always her dream to get there, and she looked up to Maya Moore and the players in the actual WNBA. So this is all interesting stuff, man. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. This Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comments.
This is the breaking point. The moment where everything Caitlin's saying comes together into one devastating realization. She grew up loving the WNBA, watching the players, dreaming of being part of the league. She has genuine passion for women's basketball that goes deeper than most players. And that's exactly why the Indiana situation hurts so much. Because Caitlin didn't just want to play in the WNBA. She wanted to honor it, to respect it, to build on the legacy of players like Maya Moore, who came before her. She came in with pure intentions and deep reverence for the game. But what happened instead? She got targeted, got physically beaten up, got disrespected by veterans who should have welcomed her, and worst of all, got stuck in an organization that can't seem to protect her or build properly around her talent. You know what makes this even more painful? There are players in the WNBA who openly admit they didn't watch women's basketball growing up, who only watched the NBA, who came into the league without that same deep connection to its history. And those players aren't dealing with half the scrutiny Caitlin faced. So imagine being Caitlin right now. You've given everything to this league, brought unprecedented attention, sold out arenas, created opportunities for everyone. And your reward is organizational chaos, physical targeting, and a front office you can't trust. Now imagine getting a call from Sandy Brondello, who's watched you up close, who understands your value, who's building something specifically designed around your strengths, who's in a city that would worship you, who has organizational support to actually win championships. That's not just an attractive alternative, that's a lifeline. That's everything Indiana should be providing but isn't. The timeline here matters. Caitlin's under contract for now, but contracts don't last forever. Restricted free agency exists. Trade demands happen. And when that window opens, even if it's a couple years away, Sandy will be ready. Toronto will be positioned. The groundwork will be laid. This isn't speculation anymore. This is pattern recognition. Sandy chose Toronto for a reason. She's talking about Caitlin publicly for a reason. That tunnel conversation happened for a reason. Every piece is moving into position. And Indiana, they're sleepwalking through it, making decisions that erode trust, keeping a front office that fans despise, acting like they have time to figure it out. Like Caitlin will just accept mediocrity forever, because she was drafted there. But here's what they're missing. Caitlin has options. Maybe not today, maybe not this season, but soon. And when that moment comes, when she has the power to choose her destination, Indiana better hope they've fixed their dysfunction, because Toronto is building something specifically designed to steal her away. Sandy Brondello isn't just coaching a new team. She's executing a multi-year recruitment strategy. She's creating the exact environment that would make Caitlin want to leave. She's being patient, calculated, and strategic. The scariest part for Fever fans, it might actually work, because everything Sandy's doing makes sense. Everything she's saying resonates with what Caitlin values, and everything Indiana's doing is pushing Caitlin closer to considering alternatives. This is how you lose a franchise player, not through one catastrophic mistake, but through 1,000 small failures, through organizational dysfunction that accumulates over time, through taking loyalty for granted, through assuming a drafted player will stay forever, regardless of how poorly you treat them. Toronto isn't just building a team, they're building an escape route. And Sandy Brondello is personally paving the road. So what happens next? Does Indiana wake up and fix their organizational problems? Does Stephanie White prove everyone wrong? and create the culture Caitlin needs? Does the front office finally earn back trust? Or does Sandy keep building in Toronto? Keep developing her program, keep maintaining that relationship with Caitlin, keep positioning herself as the coach who truly understands what Caitlin needs to reach her full potential? The next 2 years will answer everything. But right now, in this moment, Fever fans should be absolutely terrified, because Sandy Brondello sees what they see. She knows Caitlin's unhappy with the organizational dysfunction. She knows the window is opening, and she's making sure Toronto is ready when it does. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about legacy, loyalty, and whether Indiana deserves to keep the best player in the world. The clock is ticking.